On Google Earth, beneath towering peaks deep in the Rocky Mountains, lies a secret now whispered only in fragments. Knowledge keepers speak of a profound, inexplicable connection between this place and an ancient, forgotten civilization. But the details have been lost to time. These mountains may be guarding a secret of the Egyptian pharaohs. And we are going to listen. What waits to be rediscovered could rewrite everything we thought we knew. I'm going in for a look, and you, well, buckle up, because you're coming along. Welcome to SWELLER'S and Dwellers. All right, my friends, we have arrived. We're all geared up for our adventure. Let's hit the trail. Let's start by digging more into the background of this area's connection to ancient Egypt. There's a few parts to this, and part number one is this whole legend of the ancient knowledge keepers of some connection of this area to the ancient Egyptians. In modern times, this legend is just a whisper of the perhaps gale force wind it was once long ago, as far as the present day memories of the knowledge keepers. So the question is, why has this legend been lost? Perhaps it's just the sands of time have erased it. It's just become less and less told from generation to generation, and has been lost that way, like a lot of ancient indigenous knowledge. Or perhaps it was deliberate that this knowledge has been gradually forgotten. Why? Why would they want to erase it? I don't know. Good question. Check out this super tasty looking mushroom. I think I'm going to try it. What do you think? I'm a crazy lunatic? I'm not going to try that mushroom. Well, maybe just a little taste. No, I'm not going to taste it. There's an even tastier looking one. This one's very interesting looking. You can tell in the spring this runoff, which is dry now in the fall, is absolutely raging in the spring. Look at all this deadfall and tree log jams. Okay, let's move on to part number two of this. In 1922, an interprovincial survey expedition was put together to map out the boundaries between the provinces of Alberta and British Columbia. It was this expedition that gave the modern names to a lot of the features in this area, like the lakes and the peaks. The explanation is that from higher up, Scarab Lake looks kind of like a Egyptian scarab. But what if there was something more? What if this expedition found something? What if they found something astounding, perhaps world-changing? Now hang on, bear with me. If they did, maybe they were encouraged to not reveal it, or perhaps even forced not to reveal it. Especially if it would change society in an instant, like a wildfire, this discovery or this knowledge. But what if they didn't want to be silenced? What if it was so amazing that they just couldn't let it go forgotten, unknown? What could they do? The only thing they could do is leave some crumbs, the best way they could, in their power. And this was by naming every peak and every lake in this area after Egyptian terminology. We've got Lesser Pharaoh Peak, we've got Greater Pharaoh Peak, we've got Scarab Peak, high above Scarab Lake, we've got the Sphinx, we've got Mummy Lake, we've got Egypt Lake. They did everything in their power to leave a message to others that there's something about this area, there's something here, and they couldn't tell us what it was. After 2 hours, we have reached the glorious meadows below Healy Pass. Views are really going to start to pop now. It's a little bit far away, but look at the jagged left-hand ridge on that peak. I think that's the Monarch. We certainly aren't going to be climbing that. We are just below Healy Pass, but look at this view. Lakes, absolutely amazing. Now, it also is coincidental that also in 1922, Howard Carter was exploring the Valley of the Kings in Egypt. And that is when he discovered King Tut's tomb. Is this indeed coincidental, or is there more if you open your mind and look deeper? And we're getting a peek into the Egypt Valley. Look at that. Alright, since it's just afternoon and we've made it to the top of the pass, let's stop for a cheese sandwich. Well, cheese and cucumber. Look at this. Far, far in the distance, Lesser Pharaoh Peak is shaped incredibly like a pyramid. Does this have anything to do with the Egyptian legends? I mean, is it just the shape of it? And is the shape natural? If you look at all the other peaks in the area, none of them remotely have this shape. We have the pyramid-shaped Lesser Pharaoh Peak, and then to the left of it, Greater Pharaoh Peak, and then above Scarab Lake, which you might not be able to make out, we have Scarab Peak, and then in front, to the left of that, there's a mound that is the head of the Sphinx. And then further left, you kind of have a long ridge, which is the body of the Sphinx. Absolutely beautiful. I can't wait to get down there and begin our exploration into the ancient Egyptian legends and mysteries of this amazing area deep in the Canadian Rockies. Will climbing these peaks give us some answers that we're looking for into these ancient Egyptian legends? Stay tuned, my friends. Look at that. Look at that. One of the big draws of coming to this area in the fall for most people is because the larches turn color. So bright colored. They just are on fire. My friends, we are getting close to camp. I've reached base camp, and since it's early, I think there's enough time to go up a peak. So we're going to set up the tent, ditch all of our gear that we absolutely don't need, and get rid of our food that we don't need into the bear locker. Lickety split. Voila! 20 minutes, we are set up and ready to go. We just got to store the food. Well, here's Pharoah Peak. Okay, now we just gotta scale our way up this cliff here. I'm just kidding. You think I'm some sort of crazy lunatic? More views of the peak way up above us. Look at this huge avalanche of rubble off the side of Pharoah. Let's keep moving. I mean, what are the odds? I mean, it's been there for probably millions of years. But hey, if you're there at the wrong moment, it wouldn't be nice. It's funny, from camp and then so far on the way up, Pharoah Peak looks unscalable, but now as we kind of round the corner, there's a nice ramp on the other side of it. So I'd say it's starting to look like we can start scrambling right up here. If we keep going to the left, it soon turns into cliff bands, which we'd have to go further around, and I don't know if you can get around them. I can't see. So it makes sense to start going up here. Wow, this is hard work, but we're getting there. I'd say we're 2/3, 3/4 of the way up that slope you could see from the bottom, but I got some bad news. I'm not gaining enough elevation for that ridge we saw at the bottom to be the summit ridge, the high point. No, it must be hidden in behind there, higher. We got some work to do, my friends. Breathe deep, go slow. Well, we're nearing the top of that ridge. It's starting to get a little bit spicy. We're gonna have to pick our way through these rock bands. Couple more steps to get to the ridge and look over top. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. But unfortunately, now that we're on the ridge, we still got to keep climbing. Look at that. How far? Hopefully not too far. Thing is, look at the views we're starting to get up here. Just magnificent. Unbelievable. Check out these interesting fossils in this rock. They're round nodules. Not sure what they are. I think this might be it. The final bump of the summit. Look at the pyramid shape of Lesser Pharaoh over here. Could that be a contributor to the Egyptian theme of these mountains? I think we're nearing the summit. We're going to just pop onto the ridge again here. Oh, look at that view. Unbelievable. That's impressive. Wow. This could be the summit. Oh yes, my friends. The final few steps. This is indeed the summit. Yes, my friends. 2 hours and 20 minutes. 730 meters. 737 meters of elevation gain. And just over 3.5 kilometers. And we have made it. The summit of Greater Pharoah Peak. Just look at these phenomenal views. If we go over here and look down over this edge, this is the side of Pharoah we can see from the camp. As a matter of fact, I can see camp down there. I might even be able to see the tent. It's too far for you though. It is tiny. And then back over here is the way we came up this morning. The center of the screen is kind of a low pass. It's hard to see probably for you. That's Healy Pass. And then in behind that little ridge that's got a forest fire on the slope of it. Look at the fire burn there. In behind there is the valley that we approached up this morning. And looking more north. Oh, look at these peaks. Lesser Pharoah Peak. Storm Mountain. And in behind there is Isabel Peak, where we were earlier this summer. And look over the edge, there's this spire with a tarn way down at the base of Pharoah below. Well, I don't see any evidence of the Egyptians up here, or even a pharaoh up on Great Pharoah Peak. I don't know, my friends. It's still a mystery. We'll have to continue after tonight's rest. Well, we're going to have a big meal before that. I'm starving. And then tomorrow we'll hopefully get up one or two peaks, Scarab Peak and the Sphinx. And hopefully we will get some insight. We'll get some answers. Let's keep searching. We'll keep up hope, my friends. It's definitely time for a reward of a pepperoni stick before we start going down. Absolutely delicious. Can you get enough of this view? Look at that. Unbelievable. Well, here's a summit register. Let's open it up, take a look. Whoa! It's an absolute mess in there. Oh. That's crazy, all the papers in there. This is one of the most popular peaks in Banff National Park, probably, just because of the phenomenal views and, yeah, the beautiful location. So we won't even bother putting our name in there because it's just a... I don't know what you want to call it. Yeah, let's just forget it. We made it! That's what counts! The light is really harsh here later in the day, but the goal for tomorrow will be to get up this peak across the valley from us, called Scarab Peak, and or this littler one called the Sphinx. And I think they call it the Sphinx is because, well, look at it, you can tell it's got the big behind in the back, and then the lower neck, and then this bump in the front, which we will climb, is kind of the head of the Sphinx. And then, once again, there's our camp way down at the bottom. It wasn't in the plan to come up here today, but I'm glad we did. We made it in good time, good weather, and now if we start going down, we'll get down just in time to get washed up, start dinner, and get fed before it starts getting dark. What a day! But before we head down, it's time to have a couple of these chocolate eggies. This is one of the very rare ones that has the shell intact and has not been absolutely obliterated in the trip getting up here. Oh, pure perfection. There's nothing like chocolate at the top of a summit after you've done so much work to get up here. Oh, beautiful. So the mystery remains. Why is this area so steeped in Egyptian naming? Is it because some of the pharaohs did indeed visit this area through some teleportation technology or something else that's now lost to us? Or is it merely because of the shapes of the mountains, the pyramidal shape, the Sphinx-like shape? My friends, we will continue our search tomorrow. All right, we made it back down to this low call in about 10 minutes. Now he's got to zipper down this steep slope. But we can look at the lakes and the great view while we do. Oh my gosh, I am making it down so fast. There's excellent scree for skiing. And yeah, this is wonderful. But yeah, pretty much gonna lose the sun fairly quickly here behind the ridge. So soak it up for the last few seconds. What a beautiful evening. Look at this place. Isn't this magnificent? Can you see my shadow? It's like 20 feet long. I think this is the last few minutes of sunshine before the sun disappears behind the ridge. Look at this. From this angle, Greater Pharoah Peak also has a pyramidal shape. And here is the head of the Sphinx in the late evening light. These mushrooms or fungus, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't eat those. They look nasty, like burnt campfire marshmallows. All right, time to filter some water. I've got my life straw. I can actually drink from this through the cap, but I prefer to fill this bigger jug using this, and then I can just drink out of the big jug. Oh, that, you don't get water more pure than that. Absolutely beautiful. So I just fill that up. I take the cap off this guy. So I could drink right out of that, but I prefer to just put it into the a larger container. Next thing on the agenda is to have a little wash. Well, that, my friends, is totally refreshing. I'm hoping tomorrow we'll get back to base camp a little bit earlier and we can actually go for a swim. Because, you know I love to swim. It's just a bit late now. The sun's going down, getting a bit cool. And I know you're hungry. I know you want to eat. Well, so do I. So let's go make dinner. Dinner is served. Check this out. Oh, Mexican rice, supplemented with a whole bunch of red lentils, because I need the protein. Well, I gotta say, I haven't, as you know, I don't usually stay in formal backcountry campsites. I'm usually, you know, at some place where you camp wherever you find a flat spot, and then you have to build a bear hang to hang your food. But this place, this has tent pads and metal lockers to put your food into, and even some picnic tables to eat on. But it is so full of people. It is just packed. There's like school groups here. It's actually pretty impressive. But yeah, it's a bit chaotic, a bit noisy. Yeah, I didn't really film much when I was eating. But anyways, it was a great day, and tomorrow is hopefully going to be beautiful weather, and we are going to go up 2 more peaks to try and find some answers to these ancient Egyptian legends, and to find some answers as to why all of these peaks and lakes have Egyptian names. Sleep well, my friends. Rest up. It's going to be a big day.
Good morning. Wow, it was so cold last night. Even though it was such a warm day, the skies were clear, so the temperatures really dipped. I had to actually put on my down jacket inside of my down sleeping bag for extra warmth. I don't usually have to do that, but yeah, it was a cold one. Anyways, it's gonna be a really nice day forecast today, so we're gonna continue our investigation into the Egyptian theme of this area by climbing a couple more peaks. We're going to attempt Scarab Peak and the Sphinx. So let's get ourselves up, get some tea and some hot oatmeal, and get ready.
It's so cold out this morning that when using my fuel canister, it actually froze to the table. Look at this. This is breakfast, the hardcore way, my friends. Well, it's early morning in the middle of paradise, and I've got my tea and a big pot of oatmeal. I don't get any happier than this. That's delicious. Look at this. Oh. It was such a cold night that this heat going into my body is just fantastic. All right, we're all fed, all geared up, and it is a beautiful morning. It's still a little chilly, but let's get on the go. Well, check this out. In the distance, you can see our 2 peaks for the day, Scarab Peak and the Sphinx. Just hidden beyond the trees there, way in the distance. And then there is the Sphinx. Gonna be a big day, my friends. And the Scarab's a little more complex. There's gonna be some glacier and a bergschrund to cross. So, I don't know, we'll see. Look at the Pharoah where we were yesterday afternoon, towering in the light. For this first part, we have to actually retrace the first bit of the trail we took to Pharoah Peak last night. and yesterday afternoon. But yeah, it's just the first part, and then we'll soon peel off to the left towards Mummy Lake. Actually, in between Mummy Lake and Scarab Lake. The Egyptian themes are pervasive throughout this area. Within 15 minutes, the climbing begins. But the good thing is, we're getting into the sun, and it's warming up. Oh, well, would you look at this? Be quiet so we don't scare them away. We've got wild blueberries. Look at those, just beautiful. Now that we're breaking out into the sun, let's stop and take some clothes off. Despite the chilly start, it's forecast to be a barn burner day today. All right, we've gained about 200 meters and are just going to break out into a meadow and get our first real good look at Scarab Peak. Looking at Scarab Peak, you can see that from this side, it's not really climbable. So we've got to go around the left-hand side here onto the back side of the mountain where it's more scalable. And look at the back end of the Sphinx over there. Wow. All right, we've reached a branch. Yesterday, we went right to head over to Pharoah Peak. Today, we're going to go left to head towards Scarab Lake and Mummy Lake. Look at those larches. Absolutely on fire. Breaking out of the trees for a view of Scarab Lake. What a beautiful early morning scene. Unfortunately, we lost a bit of elevation to get down here, and now we just have to gain it back to get up to Mummy Lake, up over this cliff band. But at least the scenery is absolutely mind-blowing along the way. Did anyone make you aware that there was going to be gymnastic maneuvers on this trip? Oh, check this out. Coming over to this cliff, a view right down to Egypt Lake. Look at that. Magnificent. Alright, first challenge. Gotta navigate this cliff band to get up to Mummy Lake. That's not bad. Oh, look at this. Now it's just a sneaky little ramp. But from up here, look at the view down to Scarab Lake with Greater Pharoah Peak on the right. What a beauty. Our first view of Mummy Lake sitting at the base of Scarab Peak. Well, it looks like we've got to start off on our summit block bid by going up this scree slope, and it looks just horrible and tedious. Actually, on second thought, I think I'm going to stay low along the shoreline, because in the distance I can see kind of a canyon, And let's head towards that, because we have to traverse that way to get in behind the ridge anyways. Got a good view of the head of the Sphinx on the other side of the Mummy Lake there. Maybe if we have time, we'll get up there as well. All right, yeah, you can see this canyon right here. Looks much more friendly. Just climbing out of the canyon on the left-hand side, and well, it looks like this horrible looking scree is not really avoidable for any longer. Well, let's get at it. Oh, but look at this view of Mummy Lake as we get higher. Just magnificent. Wow. All right, here we go. Well, looks like we've got a formidable cliff band coming up here. I'm gonna head straight for this low point. Looks like there's a little break there, and then looks like there's a ramp you can follow left. Maybe go around the remainder of it. Yes, indeed. This little break right here should be non-problematic, and then we can start traversing left. But this little break definitely is the key, because over here, it is some nasty cliff. Now, hopefully we can follow this ramp to get around the remainder of the cliff band. I've just rounded the edge, and this looks okay now up above us. Whew. Let's keep going. The back of the Sphinx head does look interesting from here. All right, we've come to a bench here with a ravine, interesting ravine. Huge boulder in here. Must have come off of this face up here. Just gigantic. There's a nice little tarn here. And then our next problem, this glacier, which actually looks quite benign, but up above it is another cliff band that looks really, really tough. We've done so much work to get up here. I don't know. All we can do is go and look. This cliff band looks pretty much impenetrable, except for this one little sneak crack above us here. All right, that was pretty spicy coming up. I couldn't film. I was a little bit occupied. But now, hopefully that should be the last of our difficulties. Now we just gotta go up the valley a bit more. All right, since we're hopefully through most of the difficulties, and it's 12:30, I'm gonna stop for a sandwich. This is hard work. Just about to gain the ridge and look over the other side. Wow, more mountains and more valleys, just as beautiful. Just the final bit of ridge to go, my friends. We are almost there. Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. But the final few steps. Oh, yes, my friends. Just over 4.5 hours, just under 8 kilometers, and 1,034 meters of elevation gain from base camp. We have done it. We have reached the summit of Scarab Peak. Woo! Looking south is so beautiful. Right in the center of the screen now is Mount Assiniboine, a mighty peak in the far distance. And over here, this is starting to look west. Just beautiful peaks as far as the eye can see. Can kind of just see the edge of Scarab Lake. And right in the middle is the great Pharoah Peak that we climbed yesterday. It looks absolutely crazy, steep and sick from here. This angle, wow. And Egypt Lake down in the basin. And our base camp is down there past the lakes, too far to see. I still see no evidence of the Egyptians up here, or even a clue as to why this area is so steeped in the Egyptian legends. We'll have to keep searching, my friends. I'll tell you what, it was mighty tough coming up that last bit. I'm really exhausted, considering the trudge into base camp with the full backpack and overnight gear, and then continue on Pharoah Peak. Wow, it was tough today. It's time to have some more lunch here. Look at that. Nothing like a cheese sandwich with lots of cheese. I got out the register, and look at this. Wow, no one from 2024 or 2025 until now. Sweller Van Dweller. Yeah, it's hard to believe no one came up here last year or this year. There were a few entries in 2023, 2022, 20 and 19 when the register was placed, but wow, it's been a quiet couple of years up here. I just counted the entries in the register, and ours is only the 9th since 2019. All right, let's start making our way down and see if we have time. See if we have time to get to the Sphinx. I don't know, my friends. Time's gonna be tight. This took a fair bit longer and was more effort than I anticipated. Now, rather than going down this really steep piece to reach the glacier, I'm going to see if I can follow this ramp over to what looked like an easier break in the cliff bands. It's just a question of if I can get over there on this ramp, and if the other way is even easier. But we'll go take a look. It's worth it because it's not too far. Well, unfortunately, I don't think so. It gets very narrow, and then I'm not sure we can even make it down there. Well, good news. I kept going along that ramp, and then I found one small little down climb here. That was much easier than the other route I went up. So it's just a matter of how this last part is. We'll see. Well, so far so good. Now we're going to hit the glacier ice. That might be a bit slippery, so I'm going to try and traverse left until I can hit this patch of rock. Wow, look at this bergschrund. Whew. To get onto the glacier. Luckily, we can just scoot over here. Well, we are down off the glacier. Whew. Now we can breathe easy. That was the part I was worried about. From here, it's just going down. It's fine. Whew. Wow, what a trip. A little bit more than I expected. I'm not sure if we'll have time to go up the Sphinx. All right, it's going well. Made it down that big trough. Now we have to do this traverse just this final little cliff band, and then we're going to be pretty much down to the lake. We go through that little canyon. Look at how long my shadow is. We are almost down to the lake, and there's Pharaoh's Peak over to the left, and then there's the Sphinx in the center now. Do we have time and energy enough to get up the Sphinx? I don't know. It's going to be like yesterday. The time is going to be tight. We might actually, I think, get back to camp like half an hour later than last night if we do attempt it. I don't know. But I'm looking for answers to the Egyptian legends, so I'm going to do everything in my power to make it up there. Because the Sphinx, it's mythological. There could be answers up there. It could be the fountain of knowledge. The Egyptian Sphinx is a guardian that protects sacred sites. What could this Sphinx be guarding? Riddle, do you know how you know if you're hardcore? Because you're above the helicopter and you've already descended 700 meters from the peak you were on. Yeah, baby! So, unfortunately, in my excitement today, I dropped my camera and I actually smashed the corner of the lens protector. So from here on in, you're probably going to see some, well, maybe, I don't know, I can't tell yet. I think occasionally you're going to see some weird refractive light in some of the video. It's unfortunate, but such is the life of a YouTuber. Okay, my friends, decision time. It is just before 4 o'clock. We have reached the junction where we need to turn to go up the Sphinx. It's another 300 meters. So that's a fair amount at this stage of the game. So I think I'm gonna give it a shot. The route should be fairly straightforward, but it does mean that we'll probably give up swimming tonight because it'll be too late when we get back. Just have to clean up quick and then have dinner and go to bed. So it is what it is. Let's get a move on. Well, here's a good view of what we've got ahead of us. We've got to go to that low point and then move left to the summit. Terrain is a bit rugged getting to this col. Lots of big boulder hopping. All right, we have pretty much reached the col. Look at that, we came all the way from that meadow. Oh, I'm just applauding. Looks a little severe from this point. Why is it never as easy as you think? Well, the bottom looks okay, just a slog. The top is a bit of a maze. Right above us, I think there's a green patch of grass, a ramp snaking up from right to left through the cliffs that we can start on. See what happens from there. Oh my gosh, look at these fossils I found in the rock on the way up. Very cool. Not sure what it is, but it's definitely fossil of some sort. Oh my gosh, I just found another fossil. This one looks like an Egyptian scarab for sure. Just look at that. It's got kind of a tail on it, the body, and the head up front. This is amazing. Scarabs of this size and shape do not exist at this altitude in the Rocky Mountains, but were one of the most important symbols in ancient Egyptian culture. They were used in amulets and talismans to protect against disease and death, and also to ensure resurrection after death, resulting in eternal life. Who said we couldn't find Egypt up here? This is incredible. Oh, my friends, definitely some fossils here. All right, we reached the grassy bit. I'm just going up this little crack here. Yeah, God, here's the ramp I was talking about. At the end of the ramp, it's steepening up again, but it looks manageable. Seems to be easing off a bit now, like a staircase. It's really starting to flat out up here. We are going to be atop the Sphinx's head very quick. Yes, my friends, this would be it. The top of the Sphinx. Yes, my friends, after just under an hour, we made good time. And 300 meters elevation gain, we have made it to the top of the Sphinx. We are literally standing atop the Sphinx's head right now. Looking back, the sun, I know, is giving a very harsh light, but we're now looking right at Scarab Peak, where we were earlier, and then the Pharoah. You know, I said we really needed to climb the Sphinx to get some answers. The Sphinx is this mythological creature, and I felt it could give us the direction, the answers as to why this area is so steeped in Egyptian mythology, legend. The ancient knowledge keepers say that the Egyptians had something to do in this area. And honestly, after this weekend, I thought in my head I had worked out some answers, but then the Scarab fossil we found just a few minutes ago. This is incredible. This blows my mind. I mean, it throws everything up into the air. I'm back throwing for a loop here. I need some time to process this. So we're running out of light. Let's get down. We got to get some dinner and then get to bed before we lose light. And then tomorrow we're gonna hike out of here, and we'll have plenty of time to debrief this and try and figure things out. But that Scarab fossil, I gotta say that has really changed yeah, no. Anyways, what do you think? I don't know. This is amazing. Did you notice how the rock is all quite dark here up until the very top of the Sphinx's head? Then it turns white. Now, I'd usually say that's just a change in the geological layers, but after what's been going on this weekend, I'm not so sure. Well, I'm down around where we found the Scarab fossil and the other unidentified ones, but I'm finding more. There's so many. I wish I had more time. Don't know what this is, but there's something fossilized in here. Here we go again. Here's some more. Just imagine if we had more time to look around and examine this slope. Who knows what we might find? I mean, I'm finding all this stuff just as I'm passing by. It's amazing. Look at all these wild blueberries. This plant is loaded. When I start dragging my poles, you know I'm tired. Farm it. Incredible. I'll just leave him alone. I think he's pretty scared. Climbing that tree, he's got nowhere to go now. Oh, we are back. Oh, just under 9.5 hours. Just under 1,500 meters gain and just under 16.5 kilometers. I am exhausted. I need to clean up and eat. Oh, that's weird. The stick I put here is gone. What? What? So I got back to the bear bins, and I noticed the stick that I had in to fully lock my bin, it was missing. Oh, I thought that was strange. And then I opened my locker, and someone had been into my stuff. I mean, it was for sure, 100%. I had my stove, my cup, everything all in my blue bag, and my stove was outside of my bag. My cup was outside of my bag. I don't know. Someone was rummaging around. As far as I can tell, they didn't take any food. They didn't take my stove. They didn't take my cup. So I haven't discovered anything missing yet. I don't know. I don't understand people. We're in the middle of nowhere. This is paradise, and people are like roading around and other people's stuff. Ridiculous. I mean, maybe they were low on food or something. I mean, low on fuel for their stove, so they were looking for a stove, and they pulled my stove out and used it. I don't know. I'll have to check the fuel, see if it's low. But I don't know. It's just so creepy. It's so disappointing. I don't know what gets into people's heads. Even out here, it's hard to imagine there's weirdos out in the middle of the backcountry like this. It's not easy to get out here. It's a lot of work. I don't know. I guess I just thought weirdos wouldn't go through the effort to come out here. I thought they all stayed in the city. I don't know. Good morning. You know, it didn't seem as cold last night, but I mean, I did wear my down jacket inside of my sleeping bag right from the outset, so I'm sure that kept me a lot warmer right off the start, so maybe that had a difference. But the proof in the pudding will be when we go outside, if we see frost on the ground. That's
what I saw yesterday. So anyways, let's get up and at it. We gotta eat, pack up, and then start our trek out of here.
Maybe I just didn't feel as cold because I've acclimatized. No, I felt it was cold, but it was probably because I also had my down jacket on right from the start of the night. But yeah, even by the morning I was getting a little bit chilled. So this is what happens in the fall. Winter approaches. Ooh, look at this. Big frost. Big frost. Not frost. Big frost. After a cold night in the tent, look at that. There is nothing like some hot oatmeal. Oh. Oh. And that is hot. Wow. All packed up and ready to roll. Let's get moving. Yes, we've got Warden cabin. Egypt Lake cabin number 32. Warden service, Banff National Park. Doesn't seem to be anyone here. It's all locked up. There's a couple extra storage buildings, wood shack, and a little outhouse in the corner there. Okay, so let's start unpacking what we've learned about this ancient Egyptian legend of the Knowledge Keepers and how it relates to this mountain range deep in the Canadian Rockies. Now, I must admit that after we climbed Greater Pharoah Peak and didn't discover much except a much closer bit of evidence that Lesser Pharoah Peak is remarkably pyramid shaped, and then climbed Scarab Peak the next day, still without any other type of evidence pointing to something significant with these ancient Egyptian legends of the Canadian Rockies. I began to sort of side with the simple explanation that the 1922 interprovincial boundary expedition simply did name these peaks after they saw the resemblance of the Scarab in Scarab Lake, which I don't really see. They just decided to continue that naming scheme and named all the peaks and lakes after that. So at that point, I was really starting to believe in my heart and head that that was really the answer. It's as simple as that. But then, even though I was so tired from summiting Scarab Peak, I felt the pressing need, as I had all weekend, to climb the Sphinx as well. Because this mythical creature would give us more answers, more direction, more understanding of this mystery and what's going on. So even though it would mean skipping out and swimming, And you know how much I love my swimming in the mountains. So even though it meant this sacrifice, I knew we had to do it. We had to continue on and visit the Sphinx. We climbed up onto its back and then began climbing up its neck, up its mane. And that's when I began to find the fossils. The first fossil, I mean, it was interesting. There's lots of fossils in the Rockies. There was nothing remarkable about it. But shortly thereafter, I mean, everything changed. I saw the fossil that looked remarkably like an ancient Egyptian scarab. Right after we just summited Scarab Peak, high above Scarab Lake. Was this the mythological Sphinx doing what I had hoped it might do in delivering us something to give us more understanding of the why behind these mysteries? I don't know, but at that moment, my perspective on all this, that had pretty much been decided at the summit of Scarab Peak, it took a wild turn. I was flabbergasted and completely unsure of everything that I had come to know thus far. Those kind of remind me of back when I was younger, when I had a bad hair day. That ain't a problem anymore. And there were so many more fossils. And I wasn't even stopping to look. I didn't have time to stop and look. Just imagine if you had enough time to go up there and spend some time on that slope looking. Who knows what you might find? So there's so many smaller things that happened over the weekend, like the pyramid shape of Lesser Pharoah Peak, and then the white colored rock, the drastic change to the rock color as we got to the top of the Sphinx's head, and namely the fossils, and the scarab fossil in particular. These things turned everything on its head and reignited the Egyptian mystery and legend of this area. There's so many unanswered questions in my mind. Did the ancient Egyptians visit this area? If so, how did they get here? We're in North America, not Northern Africa. Did they do it via some technology, ancient technology that is now lost to us? Or did they have help from beings not of Earth? I mean, I don't know. It's just your thoughts can go wild. And what, if anything, did they leave behind? Perhaps hidden in plain sight. And why here, so very far away? Deep in the Canadian Rockies here is so far away from Egypt. Well, perhaps it's the perfect hiding spot for something, because it is so far away. And I know what you're saying, but Sweller, come on, man. Are you a crazy lunatic? I mean, What does this mean? Well, unfortunately, as you can probably guess, I don't know what it all means. I don't know the answer. I don't have that. But what I think has happened is new life has been breathed into this ancient legend of an Egyptian connection to this mountain range deep in the Canadian Rockies, as once known by the knowledge keepers, and then temporarily rediscovered by the 1922 Interprovincial Boundary Survey Expedition, and quieted or hidden shortly thereafter. My friends, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Please go ahead and leave your comments, because I honestly don't know what to think. But we are not done. As you know, we need to reward ourselves for this hard work we've done on this adventure. And you know I love to celebrate. My friends, we are going to stop in and we are going to dine on a tremendous treat. And you are not going to want to miss it. Back to civilization. The base of Sunshine Mountain Ski Resort. Oh. Oh.
Hi there.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, my friends, we are at my favorite post-hike place. Dairy Queen for the dipped ice cream cone. These are magical, my friends. Now, the key to successfully eating one of these is that you can't just dig right in. You have to give it time to cure. Yes, yeah. You give it time, and the chocolate turns crunchy. If you eat it too soon, it's just kind of soft. Oh, crunchy is a whole different ballgame, my friends. And you know what? I think it's ready. Oh, perfect. That is pure magic, my friends. The whole trick now is to try and eat it slowly and enjoy it. And not just gobble it down. If you enjoyed that video, then you should watch this one next. And if you've seen that one, well then you should watch this one. And if you've watched them both, well then, you're one of my top subscribers. And I appreciate you so much. I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.